Hey everybody, welcome. Welcome to the live stream. What's up? Asterbot. I love my swivel chair. What is up, everybody? Oh, Mr. Slowhand Grind has resubscribed for 57 months. That means that I haven't been home. I haven't been home to the United States in almost 60 months now. If Mr. Slow has subscribed for 57 months, that means it's probably like 59 months. 60 months is 5 years. Almost 5 years I haven't been home. Hopefully this September, October, I'm gonna visit back in the States. I'm a real expatriate now. Mr. Slow has tipped $10. Mr. Slow brings us up to 1940. It's a good year. Well, it wasn't really the greatest year. Better than, yeah. Not the greatest year, but okay. 1940. All right, we've got a game, and this particular player, I don't know why it's saying Asterbait. This particular player I have played myself, but it was a long time ago. I never met Quinteros. So we've got, I never met Velimirovich personally, but I did play Quinteros a number of Blitz games on ICC. Birth year of your mother. Your mother was 8 years younger, is or was. I don't know if she's still living. Would be 8 years younger than my mother. My mom was 32. I'm assuming you don't mean the game, the year this game was played, which was 1970. I don't think Mr. Slow's mother was born in 1970. 1940. I was saying 1940, and I don't remember why. Oh yeah, because we reached 1940 donations. In honor of your mom. All right. So we got Quinteros versus Velimirovich. I'm sure a very serious chess Riddler game. A blind chess game from Ubatas. And then my bat defense, the black bat. I'm still working on the name. It's a work in progress, okay? I've got a game from Masturbate, and somebody has been, a number of people have been getting a little bit lazy with submitting games for the Thursday stream. So at this rate, I don't know, my whole stream, I'm going to be like Dolly Parton, and I'm going to get canceled late in life. Both the far right and the far left hate me. Where's Schumacher? Where's Morales? Where's Muleskinner? Where's Sun Prism? Where's Discombobulated? Where is everybody? Why do we have no games? I promised Zen Chess I would do a video for him. I just remembered. But we need more games. I can write it off to summer. Black belt defense. All right. So, announce the stream. Mr. So has tipped $10. Here we go. So first off, we're going to go over Velimirovich. Game submitted by Mr. Slow. Now, I'm trying to flip the friggin' board, but it's on chat for some reason. Stealing my focus. Why is it doing that? Get out of there. Let's try this again. All right, now, Miguel Angel Quinteros. They wait for quality. Quality is job one. They were recalling a bunch of Waymo self-driving vehicles because they have this tendency to run into poles. I was just wondering, like, I didn't read the story too much, but I was wondering what sort of poles are they running into? You're a car and running into poles. There's not a lot of poles in the middle of the road, like if you're hitting poles, you're probably like not on the road at that point. I mean, what poles are in the road? Like streetlights on the side of the road? I could see it. It was like a self-driving bicycle on the sidewalk running into poles. But I don't know, man. Alright. They can't see poles, apparently. They're programmed to like not hit people, but poles are okay. They're too thin. Anyway, I guess I have autism. I don't know. Or I have AADD. Or both. I get distracted. Alright, so here's the background. Quinteros, Argentine Grandmaster. I believe he's still alive. Could be wrong. I told a story how he used to play the King's Indian very similarly to the way that Velimirovich did. The first big tournament for our hero at this point, at 28, and I guess Quinteros was even younger, in 1970. He didn't even have a GM norm, and I don't either. At this event, he only was a substitute player, as Fisher and Duncan Suttles, the Canadian, didn't show up. As a coach and assistant for Gligorich, we asked about that, Gligorich. So apparently he did work with Gligorich. The organizers asked him to play, if he would play. To make this category A, which was an older system, I don't know what that meant. Now they have numeric categories for tournaments. This required at least 16 players. Long story, he was always in the lead and finally took 5th place. Well, I guess at the end he fell to 5th place. Finally, playing the big dogs, making GM norm. So this is round 1, 2 years before I was born, but it was played in the former Yugoslavia. So Vinkovci. I'm not sure where that is exactly. Maybe Montenegro. Alright, so Quinteros, I'm gonna guess Quinteros is even younger than Velimirovich. And he's playing all the way from Argentina. That's a big deal. Knight f3. I think Quinteros is the same age as like a lot of contemporary American grandmasters, like Larry Christensen, Nick DeFermian. He's probably like in his 60s now or something like that. So ahead of Petrosian, who was in 6th place. All right, so knight f3, knight f6. Knight f3 is an annoying move. I have to say. Yeah, I get it. I have to say knight f3. It's annoying. It's an annoying move. If you play the King's Indian, Petrosian, for example, Petrosian. Where's the game from Nefedov, for example? Why do I have no submissions from Nefedov? Get the games in early. If you're a King's Indian player, knight f6 is a good move order. The problem is Chess Riddler is not a subscriber. Knight f3, knight f6, c4. You can get the English. That's fine. We can play in King's Indian style. All right. So c4 it is. Black now plays g6. White plays d4. And, normally black would play bishop g7 in this position. Wait and see what white does. But Quinteros could hardly know the Benoni was coming. What do you mean by that, Mr. Slow? What do you mean by that? Because he hadn't played the Benoni up until this point? 1970 information was hard to get. Well, that's true. When did the Yugoslav informator start? Probably later, in like the 80s. The Soviets had their way. Yeah, like private info. Even the chess informants weren't available yet. Acerbate, thanks for gifting a tier 1 sub to Chess Riddle. 686. You're closing in on Mr. Slow's record. 686 gift subs from Acerbate in the channel. All right. So anyway, well, in any case, Mr. Slow, in those days, when we didn't have databases, you just had to like have your shit prepared. You just had to be prepared for openings in general. So obviously, Quinteros has to have something against the Benoni. Black plays c5. And white doesn't have to transpose to a Benoni. And he also has to watch out for the Benko, I should add. If you play d5, I don't think the Benko. Is my stream title wrong or something? Art Brenton is just tipped $60. No, I'm not playing against viewers. This is Analyze and Improve analysis stream. So Art Brenton just donated $60. I didn't see him in the chat. I had no warning. Richard donated $60. We're up to 2,000. We did it. All right. We reached the goal. How do you do that in soccer mode? How do we make a soccer mode? In Hungarian, it's like GOL. Goal. We reached the goal. Goal achieved. Goal achievement get. Thanks to Richard. $60 takes us up to 2,000, and that's a good year. World Senior teams. Don't forget. We don't think we're going to play in the World Senior. You missed Tuesday. Yeah, we had a very small showing for Tuesday. Swiss not popular. Just don't get confused, guys. I'm playing World Senior teams, and it's not an individual tournament. I'm probably not making the World Senior individual. As Nefedov pointed out, I'm too late already. I already missed the registration deadline for that. I have seen your submission. I don't know about just sent. You already sent me one. What do I have in there already? You just sent me reminds me of this game. Okay. I don't know. This might be different. Perhaps it's different. All right. This is different. That was just something you were showing me. All right. Anyway. So here we are. Well, anyway. White doesn't have to play d5. If he does play d5, black can play the Benko or the Benoni. Or a form of King's Indian Benoni hybrid. So Quinteros goes for it. He plays d5. Now, obviously, the Benko is the most popular active move here. Like a deferred Benko. This is perfectly fine, like for black to play b5. At this juncture. But the Benoni, the Benko wasn't that popular in 1970, I guess. It became popular a little bit later, the late 70s, early 80s. Bishop g7. So now knight c3, no more Benko. And community, Mr. Snowhand Grind. Thank you, Brexton. Thank you, Brenton, in the name of our community. Richard and Mr. Slow. This is like a little chess club, I was thinking about this. Basically, it's like the Slagy chess club. Knight c3, castles, And now, sadly, white didn't play e4. Yeah, I mean, white's options are limited, but e4 is the sharpest way to go. Also, there's bishop g5, which I've played a ton, and it's subjectively not very dangerous. So that's pretty much it. You might get an occasional bishop f4. But Quinteros goes with, the safe move, g3. And I've never been a huge fan of fianchetto setups in the Benoni or the Benko. I've never felt personally with white that it's easy to play, first of all, and that effective when you play bishop g2 in setups where your pawn is on d5. White has to be very expert in handling like space advantage position. I mean, there are certain people who are, like Lichess, but I've never ever really felt comfortable playing white here. So, anyways, bishop g2, e6, and interesting, like little sidebar, Mr. Slow. You would think that one would think that Mr. Velimirovich would probably be interested in something like e5. Here you see it seems to be a specialty of Alex Fedorov from Belarus. But given the other games we've seen from Velimirovich, I wouldn't be surprised to see e5. And I wouldn't be surprised to see Quinteros play that with black either. But anyway, a proper Benoni is a proper Benoni. Castle, castle, e takes d5, c takes d5. Okay, now we transpose to like a main line of the fianchetto Benoni now. Fianchetto modern Benoni. So rook e8 is like the main move. And secondarily, there's a6, a4. I mean, in general, like rook e8 is usually played. And the thing is, like, we're fighting for control of e4. If white plays knight to d2, we play a6, black plays a4, and then we play like knight on bd7. I mean, this is typically how this move order goes. Then if knight to c4, we have either knight b6 or knight e5, blah, blah, blah. But it's interesting, his move order here, he plays knight on bd7. I've been telling Acerbate, to be careful about putting your knight on d7 in a Benoni because you obstruct Mr. Bishop on c8. The timing of this is important. So yeah, I mean, I would be mostly concerned about bishop f4. If bishop f4, we have queen e7. Black has this if necessary to defend the pawn on d6. But I'm just curious about the move order. I'm not that knowledgeable about this. So in fact, bishop f4 is the most common move. And Quinteros plays the natural knight d2. And this is very standard. We're playing for knight c4. It's a good square. It attacks the base of the pawn chain. Now Velimirovich plays a6, threatening b5. If knight c4, I guess black can play knight b6. If knight c4, Blaszko István against a former teammate of me. A former teammate of me. Virag Attila. So on knight c4, knight b6. And then if knight a3, it blocks the a pawn. And if knight e3, It blocks the bishop, blocks the e-pawn. So both sides have like awkward knights. So white plays a4, and now rook e8 would be, I would think, a standard idea. Though it's a little too late. I mean, white's already got e4 under control. So you can play something like rook b8. I remember like Vasek Rylik, programmer Rybka, and his wife, Iveta Rylik, she was really hardcore into playing the Benoni, and she would play a lichess all these games in the first Saturday GM tournaments. And she was hardcore about playing this like knight h5 type of stuff. She had some crazy games with lichess. But okay, knight e8. Simply knight e8. And preemptively defending our pawn at d6. So what's the deal here? I mean, normally in the Benoni, white wants this like avalanche. Welcome to the Avalanche. The Avalanche Motel. Just outside Colorado. No, f4, e4, e5. Overlook. Versus the queenside expansion with b5. This is the battleground of the pawn structure in the Benoni. Knight e8 has the best score of any move in the opening explorer for black. Interesting. While it looks passive, it has points. Now, is this going to happen at some point? Is f5 on the menu? So knight c4 has the best score, but Quinteros played a5. See, the problem with a5 is there's restraint, and then there's like going too far, By playing a4, we prevented b5, but by playing a5 now, you're allowing black to play b5 potentially, albeit with like an isolated a pawn. I mean, if you give me a choice, I prefer knight c4 to a5. The problem there is that black can kind of like force a draw. e6 is screaming if you play f5. Here, and if here, we can go back. But let's say knight c4, knight e5. This has been played by some good players. Kovacevic has been a good player for a long time. All right. What I was going to suggest, the other possibility is this, knight b6, and if you move your knight somewhere, I can go bishop d7. And this is like, here's a game by Kovacevic from '93. This is very strange. Wow. Danilo Milanovic was 23-25 in 1993. I must be confused. Because I really thought the guy was a different guy. I'm confused. I have a friend who's like related to that guy, and I met a guy by that name in 1999, 2000, 2001, and he was way too young to have been 23-25 in 1993. That's a GM. Maybe all the time, like there's just too many people in Serbia who are strong players, it gets confusing. So the Sakis idea, let's just say if a5, knight c8. I have the Sakis book on the Benoni. He did a very good book. But it's old now, it's out of date, but still it was good. Anyways, alright. So he goes for a5. Now that allows b5. But interesting here, under what conditions do we play b5? So Mr. Slow says this is bad. This is screaming. Well, do trees scream in the forest if they fall down and no one's there to hear them, Mr. Slow? That's the question that everybody wants to know. You know, a weakness isn't a weakness unless it can be attacked. So, as ugly as that is, there's no knight coming to g5, and I'm just saying it's a plausible continuation. I'm not saying I would personally play f5. Okay, it's the Benoni, and you know the point is to play on the queen side, right? Rook b8. All right, so we're following a game that was played later than this. Interestingly, we're following a game that was played later than this. There was a game that followed in 1973, Smekel versus Hort. Exactly the same game. Knight c4, very strong players. 2 GMs. So here, everybody played knight e5. Trading pieces. Nikolic Navarra. Young Navarra, 2005. Man, that's insane. Navarra was 26-46 in 2005. It was almost 20 years ago. The young David Navarra. If David Navarra has been 2600 for 20 years, I must be getting pretty fucking old. Alright. Anyways, we have less space. No one traded here. That's a strong knight, bro. I imagine if white trades on e5, there's a strong chance the game could be headed for a draw. Alright, but no one did that. Knight b6. Hoping to pick off this bishop at c8, but that's really not a problem. So the problem is, who cares? Like they say on the Muppet Show. No, the problem is f4 and the avalanche. Long term. The rook can activate maybe laterally in some cases. You know, even like this. I think that Velimirovich here being offered a draw by repetition declines. So this is a huge psychological moment. That's funny. So knight d7 is like claim a draw. White can claim a draw with knight c4, but he didn't play that. By the way, if knight d7, white doesn't have to claim a draw, he can play knight takes c8. Someone actually played knight on c to a4 and won that game. But not for Velimirovich. He plays knight c7. This is a fighting move, but it's also risky. It's a fighting move in the sense that we're not repeating, obviously, you know. But our knight on e5 is a, you know, he's going to get stampeded. He said the avalanche is coming now. The only other player who played this move was Predrag Nikolic in 2005. I don't know if that's good or bad, you know. There's freaking 8 games and only Predrag Nikolic played f4. At least you're in good company, but why did those other 7 players not play f4? I think that's a very interesting question. This is a normal prophylactic move. h3. stereotypical prophylactic move. This move looks kind of artificial, if I'm being perfectly honest. I'm not quite sure about rook e1. It's rather odd. As I mentioned earlier, I mean, I think there might be some kind of lateral thing, but you got to watch this knight b5. See, this could be a problem. If these pawns become fluid, I don't think that white wants to allow that. I mean, basically, white doesn't want to take on b5. This is my point. You don't want to take on b5 and like fix black structure or improve black structure. There's a game here with bishop d2. Not exciting, but okay. So white plays f4. This is a little risky, and there's no moving pawns backward. And so David Navarro would later repeat this in Velimirovich style with knight g4. So black is threatening. Is black threatening something? Are you threatening me? Are you threatening me? What is black threatening? Raise your hand. Anybody? Raise your hand. So Predator Nikolic played e3. Okay. Black is threatening bishop d4, but I have a question. Okay. So let's say white. Let's say white just made a neutral move. I don't know. Do I want to say like bishop d2? Bishop d4 check. King h1. I would think, like, honestly, this bishop probably gets trapped. Knight f2, rook f2, bishop f2, e3. I don't think that bishop's coming out, you know, so the point that I'm trying to make is that I'm not sure it's an actual threat, first of all. Secondly, we also evaluate this, which may be an actual threat, you know, but I'm not convinced. Like, takes, okay. But this bishop is a little weird here, no? White's better. So the conclusion that we have to draw at this point, I think, is that if white is sharp here, he might realize that black isn't actually threatening anything yet. That's my only point. Now, e4, on the other hand, is a different story. Because if you play e4, then bishop d4 check here. Now we do win the exchange. Takes. Bishop has a escape route. And I don't... Yeah. Is there better for black? There probably is better for black. You know, I think there probably is. Maybe a simple move like queen e7. Let's just say black could play something along these lines. So basically white can't live with the knight on g4 for too long. e3 attacks it. I mean, e3 attacks it. It's defended. But it takes away bishop d4. Oh, no. Velimirovich says no to f5. David Navarro says yes. David lost to the legendary Predrag Nikolic. I think Predrag Nikolic was close to top 10 at one point. In the early 90s, late 80s. Well, he was Yugoslav #1 for sure. He was the Djokovic of early Serbian chess. So what about this f5? Mr. Slow doesn't like it, and Velimirovich doesn't like it. So David Navarro, young David Navarro, 26-46, had the audacity to play f5. Well, what does a really hardcore Benoni player do? Plays rook e8. We don't need no stinking f5, man. But like, okay, e3 is attacked, so this is an awkward move though. You played f4, and now you're playing rook e1. Do we have a threat here for black? What about bishop d2? He takes on b5. I called this improving black's pawn structure. Right. Yeah, clearly Velimirich's understanding of the position was very different from Navarra, who seemed to be mostly concerned about like getting his knight back behind the f pawn. I mean, f5 is a move. It's a reasonable move, but it's totally not like improving the pieces. So knight takes b5, but why? Why knight takes b5? Why not bishop d2? If I have to vote for one move or the other, my I do want to point out that theoretically there's some combinations where we could maybe do this. We would end up down a piece though. Although the pin could work in some positions. My argument would be I play bishop d2, I just hold. If you take, I take with the pawn. And I know that looks a little bit weird, but whatever. So it looks weird. White has this. His b6 knight is a monster, and everything seems okay. What's the evaluation here? Yeah, better for white. Now f5 is black's best move. Okay, I don't know that black should play knight takes c3. Probably not. Why would he play knight takes c3? Yeah, don't need to do that. But what does black do is the question. Anyway, I think bishop d2 is a better move. So this is like blinking. You're in a game of chicken and you blink first. How does knight takes b5 help Quinteros? Is he going to play b4 and like force black to have triple pawns? I mean, how does this exchange help us? Is this pawn going to like get picked off? Because now black can play either b4 or c4 in some cases. I don't think that exchange aids white. You know what I mean? I think it's helping black. So now h3, knight f6, and now this knight on b6 can be challenged by knight to d7. So there's a couple things that look problematic for white. First off, as Mr. So is pointing out, there's bishop playing. It could theoretically go to f5. You're saying white's going to attack the pawn on b5. This is very artificial. I just had a game where Acerbate was playing the Benoni. We went over, and his opponent also played queen b3. And I told him, this is a totally artificial type of plan. Pawn hunting. So my expectation would be like, okay, b4. Now the pawns become fixed. Now the avalanche starts. And this is what Quinteros wants. Nice juicy avalanche with threats of e5. Black should play knight d7. Challenge that knight on b6. It'll probably pop back to c4. And then there's this annoying threat against the d6 pawn. So I think the point here is that after queen b3, white's play is a little artificial, but this is not a fluid move. And Velimirich wants to play actively, and he doesn't want to passively defend. Like bishop d7 is pretty ugly. Maybe this is okay though. You know, a lot of cases I've you know, analyzed with Stockfish, and it has a tendency to find moves that are quite strong that might look like kind of ordinary. You know, bishop d7 might be good enough, but I mean, I guess the problem is white could start playing stuff like g4, g5. I don't know. You know, I think that that might be okay. But he finds a more active move, knight e4. And suddenly, is that square important? Let's do a central count. 1, 2, 1. So we're up 1. 1, 2, 1, 1. Okay. Even. Occupied knight there. White has total domination of d5 to nothing, and then e5 is much better for black. So black has at least equal, if not superior control of the center here. So white's kingside is like, well, no immediate danger, right? I think that's the problem. You know, Quinteros is a young player, and you know, when I was younger, also, I was way more apt to underestimate threats by the opponent. But it looks optimistic to allow this capture on g3. A safe player, well, let's just start with a safe player doesn't play queen b3, grabbing pawns on b5. Secondly, a safe player is probably going to play some kind of prophylactic move. You know, Karpov with white is going to play this a lot differently. Not to say like king h2 is necessarily a great move, but yeah. This is very dangerous, giving up the g3 pawn. And now there's access to h4. The knight has lots of maneuvering possibilities. But he plays e4. Which is like, yeah, red flag. And now you're like, geez. Can we sack a rook with check? I mean, I really didn't cheat, and I mean, I'm looking at like bishop d4 check. Obviously, white has bishop e3, but there's also king h2. Bishop takes h3. There's also queen h4. There's like we could play bishop d4 check, bishop f2. There's all kinds of stuff here. White has rook a3. This could be a useful defensive idea. So, as Velimir stated after the game, Quinteros was in big time trouble, and this is the analog clock. So Velimir like kind of gambled here with the coffeehouse sack. I think that black has a good position, but I don't know which move to play. Because this is tempting. And then is white playing bishop e3? Really? I mean, bishop d4 looks good. King h2, and then you have this. When the rook doesn't really have an obvious, like, good place to go. I guess d1. What I was kind of wondering was, like, could you, like, sack a whole, you know, a whole rook, but I don't think so, because after this takes check here. Unfortunately, like, white's going to take your bishop. So, sacking the rook is one thing, but we can't, like, be giving him the bishop on c8. So, you could do, like, a delayed bishop takes h3. And there's also bishop g4. The really interesting ideas like this, and then this. I mean, black is crawling all over you here. Now your only move is bishop h3. It's a little hard for me to believe that black doesn't have something here. I don't know about you guys. But I mean, I'd be surprised if black doesn't have something here. This is winning for black. We're a full piece down. And everything's winning. Full piece down. Rook takes e4. +5. That's not full comp. That's another level. That's like white's just hosed. Getting destroyed. But I mean, the question is, yeah, like which way to do this? There's also obviously bishop e3. And that's an interesting move. But, you know, there I was thinking maybe even knight f5. Or some form of knight f5. There's so many options here. You could take and then play knight f5. You know, obviously. And just stick the knight on d4. I mean, this is really nasty. Just that alone is like probably like very difficult for white to defend here. The knight is a killer. Black has queen h4. I don't know, man. I don't know how you defend that pawn. Apparently he can. Play rook f1. Okay, this is so clear. So let's see. Bishop e3 is probably best. But the computer says, survey says, wow, unbelievable. Oh. Bishop h3 is fine. Bishop d4 is nothing after bishop e3. So bishop e3 is good enough to hold. But there's another move. This. Bishop f5. You guys see this? Just simply developing a piece, you know? You're just simply developing a piece. And, I mean, the only way white can comfortably protect that would be rook a4, I guess. You know, on the surface, it looks like we can defend e4 a third time. But then you've got to start with this stuff again, you know? This is triple attack, dude. White has huge problems. Maybe bishop f5, queen d3. I mean, for that matter, you can play queen e7. And what does white do? Oh, the knight's hanging. Okay. Yeah, so queen d3. No, but then we've got our bishop d4 again. And if bishop e3, bishop takes. Bishop takes, and then what do we do? Rook takes. No. Knight takes. Bishop takes. Pawn takes. No. We're losing a piece. This is a little murky. Bishop e3, holy shit. Rook takes e4. Oh my god. This is the key. Gotta be so calm. Rook takes e4, you're banned for cheating on my stream. Unless you're like a GM, and then I'll permit it, you know. Well, if you play it instantly, you're definitely banned unless you're a GM. I mean, this is it's too late in the day for me to find this move. I need to be fully concentrated, and I would find rook e4 if I was really, really focused. But you're going through a bunch of games. Oh man, it's so crushing. Jeez. So there might be queen h4. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, of course, chess riddle. There could be some kind of intermezzos with queen h4. Of course. That's totally, like, yeah, totally possible. But first of all, you have to see bishop f5. And then, after this good response, Astorbate's playing, like, c4 or something. You know, totally random. He just likes playing c4. That wouldn't do anything. We need this. Control of d4. Okay. So, Mr. Slow is saying, like, after the game, Bellamir said this was a mistake. It's a very small mistake, apparently, even according to the computer. Like, this is good, too. Just not quite as good as bishop f5. So even his blunders are, like, second best, according to Stockfish. Bishop takes h3, bishop takes h3, queen h4. I mean, obviously, you know, he said his opponent was in time pressure. But honestly, if your opponent is in time pressure, bishop f5 is a better move. Because with bishop takes h3, you know, your opponent is kind of like forced to play the only move. If you play bishop f5, he has, like, you know, a lot more options. Now white is up a piece, but it's like, welcome to Talville. So I feel some tactics coming on. Again, everybody thought you would play bishop d4 in the room except for you. I guarantee Asturbate is playing this move instantaneously. So I didn't see a finishing blow. You know, like what was that? Mortal Kombat? Games like Mortal Kombat. You'd have to have like a finishing blow or whatever. Like, I don't see it. Where is it? It's no rook takes e4 here. Damn it. Who's looking for knight f5 here? Is that right? Knight f5, it looks like we're pulling off. We're down a piece and we're retreating our knight back to f5. Is that really good enough? I mean, I'm a little skeptical. Knight h1. Emery Tate. There's always rook e5. If you're going to be really creative, we have to start looking for rook e5. This is a common Benoni theme. Just a rook, nothing much. Yeah, I did not anticipate knight f5. Okay, knight f5 though. What's the point? I guess, like, the main point is that, you know, while you're looking right, he's going to hit you from the other side. This controls e3. So now bishop d4 check comes with a real threat. Bishop d4 is not a hollow threat anymore. Well, obviously, Mr. Slow, been such a good supporter of the stream. I'm not going to criticize him like he was Uber driver. I should mention the rook is hanging. And knowing me, you should remind me of that, because I tend to forget stuff. Yeah, obviously the rook's hanging. But I mean, beyond the fact that the rook's hanging, this is kind of a hidden threat. It's not knight d4 that's a threat attacking the queen. It's bishop d4. There's no more, you know, that. So he plays rook e3, which is really... You could just see somebody's, like, you know, shaking hands, scrambling to grab the rook here. But yeah, rook e3 is not what I expected. One would anticipate maybe rook e2. But after rook e2, we get the checkmate. Luigi. No? The check and the mate. There's no check and the mate here. There's this, though. It doesn't look good. And that's a discovery. So on this, it's like, really ugly. Because now we have to take with the king and then check in and you win the other piece there. So it does not mate, but it's not good. So he finds rook e3, which might actually be a reasonable defense. Yeah, the rook's hanging. I don't have a better suggestion. And now the point is you don't take. Because there you're like, you're down 2 pieces for a rook. That's not altogether clear. Like, who's better here? Maybe white's better here. It's close. But there's no need for that. Bishop d4 is a very strong move. And it's really nasty, because if you take, you get rook takes. So if takes, it's not bishop takes. There's this. This is really evil. And now white's best move is probably difficult to identify. I don't know what it is, man. Because queen e8 doesn't look too optimistic either. I think this is pretty much over. That's about as over as it can get, dude. So he can't take. So he plays rook a3. Logical. But there's this other little queen e1 check sometimes, which is sweet. On sweet. And then check. And white resigned. White resigned. Well, white resigned. It's a little anticlimactic. The resignation here. So let's say he played king h2. We played bishop tc3, and now we're threatening queen h4. As well as other good fun, like, well, actually we're threatening bishop takes here, check. Maybe. Good old rook e5. We're up the exchange, we're winning. Alright, that was a great Benoni. You know, Quinteros got just blown up like he was 2,100 in that game. You know, you learned your lesson. That was a tough lesson, man. And you thought, well, you thought defeating Cato Benoni was solid for white. But f4, yeah. Alright, so we're up to Chess Riddler. Chess Riddler has been gift subbed. Welcome, Sack Draw. Chess Riddler has been gift subbed by Aster Bait, who has over 600 gift subs. Thank you, Richard Brenton. No game from you. Richard doesn't like to share his games. R. Brenton tipped $60 an hour ago now. Aster gifted a tier 1 sub to PFUK as well as Chess Riddle. Sack Draw just gifted a tier 1 sub to Meher 1989. Meher. So this is Chess Riddler. Let's take black. Alright. So speaking in the Benoni, it's Benoni thematic analysis. I like c5. I love c5. I never played it because of d5, obviously. Here's what I was thinking, guys, right? The other day I started thinking about it. You know, I guess if I was to play c5, I really don't like to check Benoni. Alright? But if you play c5 and white plays d5, maybe the best bet here would be to do like g6. I mean, I've played... Your gift sub was so you can stop and get a Coke on the way to Krakow. Nice, thank you. I keep getting these ads from Polish Airlines about upgrading my ticket. They're like spamming me with upgrade offers. Oh, check this out. Does any other airlines have this? You can like bid for an upgrade. So you offer like some amount. Is this a standard thing now? Because I didn't know. I never fly like once or twice a year. You can bid for your upgrade. I can get like a bidding award. I'd like first class for 970. No, sorry. We got another bidder coming in at 1,500. Would you like to bid 1,600 for first class? We'll see. I'll bid $5 and see what happens. I should bid low. Bid low. Bid $1. Exactly, Mr. Slow. Yeah, there's probably some minimum. I mean, I'm gonna guess it's a rigged game, bro. It's a rigged game. But I mean, I trust upgrades on airlines about as much as it's like online roulette. All right, so c5. I just think that like knight f6, knight c3. Anyway, you should probably play g6. So I would vote for g6 as maybe the best. Pilots too. I have a friend who had a friend who was a pilot, and he could get him on standby for flights and stuff. All right, so e3. Lame. Well, your opponent's not a London system player when they play e3. Betting for upgrades. That sounds like a way for the airplane to increase profits. No. The word is bidding. Bidding. It's not betting, or it would be like falling under like gambling regulations or something. Bidding. Or do they have a license to host bidding? Or are they? So if your opponent plays c3, they're like a London system player. What's up, Spectacular Camel? Right. What's worse, the London system player or the Kali system player? Well, I've got a lot of Kalis lately. Stepbergen plays a tough Kali. Poker game for first class. In all my life of flying, I only got like a free upgrade to first class like once. In all those flights, I think I've ever only flown first class once. E3. But why? Yeah, I mean, I don't like c takes d4. It's okay. But I want to know why. Like, why? Let's not cave, I mean, I think you should play knight f6. This is what I prefer. At the same time, like, you're trading toward the center. It's not a bad move. You may want to transpose to something particular. But I think, like, we give white more rope. I'm going to grab a beer. I've already bought the beer, so I'm not going to use your gift sub to buy this beer. By the way, I just want to say that, like, there was a chance I had to play a poker game. I had to sit in a poker game tonight from 10 to 2 a.m. But apparently, it's not happening. So I wasn't going to drink any beer because of the fact that if I was going to play poker later tonight, I wouldn't want to start drinking beer. But since there's no poker, since my presence is not required, I can drink a beer or two. All right. Right. Well, if I was just a master illusionist, I could convince people that my pocket jacks were... I'll give you an example. Convince people that my pocket jacks were pocket nines. There are examples of chess games. Dude, I've seen people sitting there with both queens hanging, and like neither side sees it. There's also this, like, what do they call it? Like, mass hallucination, right? But, like the time I hung my queen in a blitz game, and there was this time I hung my queen in a blitz game, and against a strong player, and he totally missed it. And I like made fun of him during the game. I just like, because we were friends, and I just pointed it out like in the middle of the game, like, you could have taken my queen. And he's like, no. This is a tournament blitz game. And we were laughing so hard that it took me like 35, 40 seconds to recover from laughing. And then I hung it again. And then he took it. It was like, oh my God. It's not happening. You could see like a mass hallucination where the other player like doesn't even like is so depressed they don't even look at your cards to check they were pocket nines. I would say there's like a 1 in 500 chance of that happening. I would believe a story if someone said like everyone just assumed. It would probably be more likely that the other player is so depressed they don't even like really look at your cards and they just like let it go, But anyway, all right, onward and upward. So, yeah, I don't think you should exchange. I think releasing attention here is slightly inaccurate. Nevertheless, now you're playing Kraken exchange variation. White plays knight f3. Right. Once I had a dealer like forget to deal the flop in a hold'em game, and we were like, I don't remember what it was. Yeah, I guess they forgot to deal the flop, and they just like started the betting action. We're just like, what are you doing, bro? All right, weird hallucinations happen, But anyway, the Master Illusionist. So, I mean, okay, mainline exchange variation. That's fine. The Panov. Okay. You get these people who turn the thing into like a Rogozin, which isn't that stupid. And then the knight f3. And, yeah, so I've played a bunch of games now with bishop g4. And it looks like you're playing an exchange Queen's Gambit with reverse colors, but I'm afraid this move may not be quite as good as I had hoped. White has h3, and after this, you're kind of rolling the dice. So you sort of have to take and misplace White's queen. And, I mean, maybe, maybe Joseph Henry Blackburn would play g takes f. I think it would be better with the pawn on h2. Queen takes f3. So the computer thinks that white is better here, The jury's out, I don't mind playing it, and apparently Anand doesn't mind playing it either. I'll tell you one thing, though. I wouldn't want to play this position against Magnus if I was black. He'll find a way to slowly squeeze you down with those two bishops. So I think the lesson of the thing is that, like, right, no, I mean, Kramnik's white, yeah. No, it's playable. Yeah, exactly. So anyway, you play knight c6 and he plays bishop e2. Okay, bishop e2 is kind of lame. So I think at this point, white can transpose to the Panov with c4. White can play bishop b5, which is basically like a Rogozin in reverse. But there's the Bobby Fischer. This is a Bobby Fischer mineral bath. The Bobby Fischer Seceni Furdo. My other apartment is like really close to Seceni Furdo. which is the most famous like mineral bath in the city park in Budapest. And Fischer apparently like would go and hang out and play chess in the baths outside sometimes. And my friend told me that once he was there and Fischer was analyzing this, but it wasn't this exactly. Like Bobby preferred to play this other line, like with knight f3. So e4, c6, knight f3. This line is popular now. Someone did some chessable on it or something. So we call it the Bobby Fischer mineral bath variation. But after knight c6, you're transposing with d4. This is a direct transposition. So Fischer claimed that it's like better for white. And he was a little obsessed with it. This is very late Bobby Fischer in his Budapest time. But I'm not, I think it's practically nothing if black's careful. No surprises, really. Fischer would get a little carried away. Anyways, so our game, I mean, this may be one of white's best moves. But I think like bishop e5 is reasonable. And obviously c4 is reasonable. But other than that, you've got bishop d3. How bad is bishop d3? Now you're playing another Queen's Gambit reversed, but you can't meet the pin very effectively. Alright, so bishop e2. Black is white and white is black. Bishop g4, castles. Wow, so you just unprovoked played h5. For some reason, I don't know, Darius Swiertz didn't play h5. I don't know what he was thinking. h5 is a move that you often see if provoked. But I've never seen anyone do it unprovoked. So it's a normal like fishing pole type of thing in the Queen's Gambit, where you like, you might do e6, and then maybe white plays like c3, you play queen c7, and I guess on c3 you might consider stuff like h5. Like this is why I would call this like sort of like semi-standard type of. It's a semi-standard type of thing. The fish is like, okay, take here, then he takes c5, take, and then take, and I'm getting mated because after g3, yeah. Okay, so you understand the concept of checkmate. So I obviously like h5 is a speculative idea. A smart player here with white would be saying to themselves like, okay, if you're gonna do that, then I'm not gonna play h3. That would be my thought, honestly, with white. Number one, if you're gonna play h5 unprovoked, I'm not playing h3. Number two, if I'm white and you're black, and I'm castled, I'm gonna fucking open up the center like right now. So I think that white, if he's a smart player, hits you with c4 immediately. And if not c4 immediately, it's on the horizon in the very near future. So, for example, rook e1 deserves serious consideration. He's got this. Rook e1 is a useful exchange variation type of move anyway. I like it. What I don't like is passive play by white. c3 is in the game. It's very standard. It's, it's okay, but it's kind of passive. Another passive move is knight d2. But at least knight d2 allows white to play c4 in one move. But I would wager, if anybody wants to bet. I know I may like bail on this, but there's a very strong likelihood. I would say like 70% chance that c4 is white's best move here. But it's a matter of principles. If you're going to go so far on the extreme side with h5 and your king is still in the center, and so you try to punish the opponent's mistakes, to ask yourself, what is my opponent doing against fundamental principles? Not developing his pieces, leaving his king in the center. He's aggressive, but he's also violating principles. So c4, boom. Let's see what the computer says. c4. You know, it is the best move. I'm surprised h3 is good too, but h3 is not as good as c4. You know, there's no reason to play h3. And the beauty of c4 is that you didn't waste time playing c3. Because a lot of times, like on the black side of the Queen's Gambit exchange variation, which I never played that much, honestly. See, your opponent is 25-25. I just noticed. You said, yeah. But this is the thing, like, because c4, he's playing a Queen's Gambit, like exchange variation, sort of in a automated mode. He never plays c4. You know what I mean? Chess Riddle had played. Chess Riddle. I didn't realize you had written in the chat that c4 was the best move. I think way back. Oh, you meant before. You didn't mean this position. Okay. I don't know when you meant that. No, a player who really, really has a deep understanding of fundamentals will find c4. But this is a player who's playing routine. It's okay, but he's not taking advantage of your mistake. Wait, you submitted a Berserk Blitz game? At least it's not bullet. Sack draw? He's not the first. I don't have any restrictions about what games people submit, but I do prefer it not to be bullet at least. So I think, the way you've played this, maybe you should consider playing Queen c7. On the other hand, you can get your ass handed to you on a knight a3 type scenario as well. He has that flexibility to go out on a3. I think you should probably... Well, anyway, you should probably think twice about castling queenside. But I mean, of course we can play a6. If we have to. c4 is still on the cards. Even with the knight on a3, probably, if white is sharp. I'm not certain knight a3 is even that good, but... Alright, here. The reason I'm mentioning this is because in the exchange variations, you're not always necessarily putting your knight in f6. Now, you're playing this as some kind of, like, barbarian attacking system. But even in barbarian attacking systems, you may consider putting your knight on a different square. So if you play e6, you can still play like a barbarian, but just do it like in a more refined way. So maybe like bishop d6. We're playing this anyway. 100% of the time we're putting our bishop on d6. And then you can choose whether you like knight h6. If you want to be fancy, you can put your knight on h6. Where maybe it like doesn't get in the way of your queen, which wants to come out here, or something like that. So I think like modern chess has moved toward a lot of this sort of knights on the side of the board type stuff. But another benefit of queen c7 would be preventing bishop f4. This is a huge issue. He may play g3, but then he gives you leverage for h4. So if you play e6, maybe he plays bishop f4, right? He's a fan of the London. And then what are you going to do? Trade pieces? Well, yawn. G5, sacking a pawn, may be interesting in a bullet game. So what should you do? Okay, knight f6, reasonable move. Rook e1. Okay, e6, good. And now I play knight e5. But I do like the way he did in Stevis. Stevis 5 is rating with party of 3. We have a table for 3. We're almost out of beer. I have to give your opponent credit for one thing. He didn't, he shows some class by not automatically playing h3 like a moron, You got to give him credit for that. I still think that, bishop f4 deserves serious consideration. And obviously c4. But now we're getting to the point where you're developed enough that you actually might be able to cash in on that. It might be getting too late for c4, especially since he's played c3 already. The first game I sent Bossman was a classical. Who's top 5 on leaderboard, if that pleases you all more? Oof. So take that. Guys, it's not a horse. We say in Hungarian, azem a lóverseny. It's not a horse, tournament or whatever. It doesn't matter. This is not a competition. Okay. All right, 95. This is also a very reasonable move. Opponent plays 95. Okay. Well, I'm happy to see 95 perspective that the dude's not developing his pieces, so that's good. So what do? Queen c7 was played. I think bishop d6 is also absolutely okay. But perhaps the most important question is, can you take it? Well, obviously you can take it, but should you take it? If you take it, you change the structure. And do you have some drawbacks? Let's say take, and then you can choose between knight e4 or knight d7. Knight d7 covering this diagonal. It's like a Kraken. Again, c4 might come in. I don't really trust your king in the middle of the board here, but it's playable. You play queen c7. Okay. Now bishop f4 is still possible, but he probably won't do that. Now he blinks and plays h3. He doesn't like the tension. Maybe he has a better way of breaking the pin. I was wondering about this. A sort of... It's artificial, I guess. I mean, queen a4 is a bit artificial. I still like it better than h3. Okay, h3 isn't terrible, though. You played bishop f5. Now, most people are going to take exchange pieces, probably. This is your bad bishop. It's his good bishop. Obviously, exchanging bishops is reasonable. The question is bishop f5. My only concern here is your king. Where is your king going? Is your king going to be safe in the long run? I don't really see black castling queenside here, but you managed to pull it off. Now white, I have to say, I don't really love his next move. I don't understand what's going on with his queenside pieces. It's a Queen's Gambit exchange variation with reverse colors. Well, I don't see what he's gaining with h3, What is he gaining with h3, really? He slightly weakens his king side. I mean, it's not hanging to, bishop takes h2 check. I think this guy should freaking develop his pieces. If not queen a4 pinning you, then why not knight d2? You're not threatening to win a pawn, right? I mean, this is clearly... not a good idea. So knight d2, something sensible. This move isn't useful. It's not constructive. Bishop f5. But the next move, this, wow, that's kind of a weird move. The number one thing I don't like about bishop f3, he's not developing his pieces. Secondly, he could be, get hit by g5, g4 later if you go mad. But still, okay, maybe it's all right. But again, you've got good control of e4 here. I would be more apt to play bishop f8 or f1 than bishop f3 if I were him. I think this is a better move, objectively. It's solid, Here, the bishop's more exposed. And now that he's played h3, very important, by the way, very important, Pillsbury attack theme. If you play h3, then you can't play f3. He's made it impossible for himself to play f3. So how is he going to kick out a knight on e4? He'd have to trade it off. He wouldn't be able to kick it out. So I don't like these moves, h3, bishop f3, bishop d6, and now bishop f4. Okay. So he manages to maintain control of e5. And now you, like, roll the dice, you know, totally. g5 is a really insane idea I was thinking about. I don't know if you considered this. Like, bishop takes g5, knight takes e5. And if bishop f6, knight takes f3 check, queen f3. Yeah, it looks like you got a problem. That's not going to fly. So g5 doesn't work yet. You could play this. But then your h5 is hanging. So you castle queenside. Obviously high risk. Very high risk move. And now it's like, you gotta play c4, bro. I still play for c4. I still think this might be an option. Because you got 1, 2, 3 against 1, 2, 3. He's holding e5. But I want to play c4. I just don't particularly like my queen with white lined up with your rook on d8. So I figure one more prep move, like queen a4. And if you were to play like king b8, I'd probably go here. Maybe this doesn't fly, though. Maybe it's too slow. So king b8. But if nothing else, then he needs to just freaking develop his pieces. Okay, knight d2, and now you played bishop takes e5. Okay. So after all the smoke clears, suddenly, you know, you're trading pieces. Pawn takes would be anti-positional. Although there's an element of bishop e3 that I wouldn't be completely surprised if it turns out like his bishop isn't so bad after all. But this is obviously the safer way to recapture. Knight takes. And now clearly he has a choice. But again, he plays the like safer positional move. Pawn takes, you know, it's a bit more forcing, but I don't think you're really in any danger. So rook takes. And now, as aggressively as you played, I think the position is kind of equal-ish around here. But obviously you can still get sharp. You know, probably like king b8 would be wise. And then you're ready to go. If you had played, say, king b8, I don't know what exactly white should do. It's a good prophylactic move. You know, you've got pressure here. So if he tries anything with c4, I mean, this is going to backfire. Very possibly for white. So I think, you know, there's nothing wrong with playing a prophylactic move. A very appropriate one, if I might add. And you're ready to launch a counterattack or an attack. But you played knight d7. I'm not sure if I like pulling your knight off of f6, to be honest. I'm not sure if it's necessary. Honestly, there's a sort of, I don't know. I'm not sure his rook is so well placed on e5, and you may be actually like chasing it. You may be actually kind of helping him by chasing his rook. You know, like helping him solve his own problem. I don't think that rook is going to play a role. There's a chance he could play like c4, and his rook like magically pops over on b5 and starts creating some problems for you. I have no idea if you thought about this, because it's a possibility. This is not like fantasy. I mean, this could literally have happened. But my gut instinct is that it's probably not quite sound for white. Like, you could even play knight d5. So I think king b8 is more important than attacking his rook. But anyway, this is fine. Sacking the exchange. possible. He could sack the exchange and then grab a pawn. But at best, he's like equal. So he pulls back. And there's definitely a case to be made for rook e3. That would take actual thought. I'm going to bet the computer is going to say rook e3. Let's just check. Damn, dude. I'm good. I don't know. See, that's why you watch my channel. I'm Stockfish. I just like occasionally make some inaccuracies, you know. But I'm like Stockfish. The difference between me and Stockfish is simple. I make some mistakes, but I actually understand what I'm doing and why I'm doing it, you know. So you can have Stockfish who doesn't understand fucking anything, or me who occasionally makes a mistake, but I actually understand what I'm doing and I can explain it. So good luck having Stockfish explain to you the ideas behind its moves. No, rook e3 is a great move. This type of move is the kind of move that people miss in bullet games a lot of times because they're playing too routinely. Now, obviously, a top GM, Naroditsky or someone who's really good at blitz, bullet, Carlson, you know, they might find rook e3 like falling out of bed. But the average guy, the 2500 Surge, is playing robot mode. So naturally he plays rook e1. If you play rook e3, not only could it help defend you in some cases, but we're looking at c4 and swinging over again. You know, this type of stuff. All along the c4. The dude never played c4. Rook e1, g5, and now it's like, okay, if you're white at this point, he's underestimating you because you're 1885. First of all, that's a big advantage. Secondly, if I'm white here, I'm pressing the panic button. Like, if you're a player with white here, I don't care what your rating is, you have to realize, like, this is dangerous. This is a very dangerous situation. G4 is a serious threat, and you got to find a good move. Now, he played bishop takes h5. I'm not sure I would do that. Honestly, I didn't really consider this. That's not my definition of a safe move. I was actually thinking, like, bishop e2. But I admit, we're in trouble. He just doesn't seem to have a way to meet this. You know, I think he's basically screwed. It might be that white is, like, virtually lost already. I mean, if not lost, like, white is close to lost already. Is it my imagination, or white just doesn't have a good move in this position? It's too late, you know? Okay, he has a move. What he could play is c4. Let's go for it, right? And now, because he should have played that like 100 moves ago. I think like queen a4 is a terrible move because it like encourages you to play something good. He should play c4 while there's this line up here. And now if you go g4, I'm not taking. I'm not playing bishop e2. I'm just going to play like c takes d. And now white's threatening rook c1. You've got a shot. Bishop c2. But I mean, at least it's unclear. He could sack a piece here. He actually has d6. Jesus Christ. Yeah, I don't think bishop c2 works. So this is very dangerous. This is why you should have played exactly Sextile. This is why you should have played king d8 prior. Okay, now you have to play king d8. The question is when, you know? But this guy, I mean, this move is just... I think he maybe like he missed knight f6 or something. I mean, what? Let me ask a question. Like, what did he expect you to play here? Was he expecting you to like play g4 and go like 2 pawns down with some long shot Hail Mary? Because this is a pretty fucking obvious move. And the point is that g4 is coming and you just can't answer it very well, you know? This is a really obvious move. And now the guy, you know, really underestimated your play. Because clearly, you know, barring like c4, which should be considered because this is an emergency, obviously bishop e2 would be the better move to play. Because if you play g4, I can always like just let you take and go g3. I mean, what if you're playing the white side of the Sicilian? What about like here, 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 here? If here, here, check. Anyway, some kind of like rational attempt to defend himself. But this is terrible. Like bishop f3 with g4 with tempo. That is just really asking to get killed. Yeah, I mean, it's like he forgot you had. It's like he forgot you had bishop e3 check. He thought he could like run away or something. Pooh, bro. He just missed bishop d3 check. Clearly. I mean, it'd be very easy to write this off and say, okay, he just was playing, you know, and just blundered a mate or something because he didn't take you seriously. But there's a lot more to this than meets the eye. This guy committed a lot of mistakes, you know. This is very instructive. All right. So blind duel blunder up next. Did I get another game? Oh, sack draw. Did you say you submitted a game? No. Am I hallucinating that? Well, I mean, the thing is, Chess Riddle, Yabatis, who's Spectacular Camel on our stream, you know, he's around the same rating as you. A little higher, but, you know, similar, I guess. And I noticed that a lot of times he's, like, killing people in the Rapid. If you're under 2,200, a lot of people who are, like, this guy's rating, my rating, like 2,500 or so, there's a tendency to really very much underestimate people. I'm actually like looking forward to playing with my new shitty over the board rating of like 2312. Because honestly, 2312 sucks. And if I was my opponents, I would underestimate me for sure. I mean, hopefully now my rating is so low that I'm gonna get a little bit of that, you know, because it's been so long since people like underestimated me. It's been since like 1996. I mean, people have been taking me seriously since like 1996, and now my rating is finally going down to like 1996 levels. So I'm really hoping that maybe now, you know, finally, it took me like 30 years, but I'm finally going to start getting like, you know, people underestimating me again. In reserve. All right. Well, I just never get it anymore, you know? I'm just like watching like Yabatis' games and watching him like crush people. And they're like higher rated than him. Maybe he's 2100 and crushing 2300, 2200s. Other thing that can make people underestimate you, Chess Riddle, and Yabatis knows this, and I know this, weird openings have a tendency to make people underestimate you. I have a very good score with the St. George defense. I have like plus 5 with it. And none of my opponents were below master. You know, I think maybe one of them was like 2100. I played maybe like 10 games with the St. George defense, and I've lost 1, 2. I lost to Shy Grover, but it wasn't really a St. George defense. It was a Kraken. So I'm not really counting that. But just for example, if you play the St. George, people immediately start to underestimate you. But it's better to be anonymous. Maybe I'll change my name. All right, so this is Blind Bill Blunder. This is Spectacular Camel, a.k.a. Yabatis. I don't know if he's still here. He's been practicing his blindfold chess. So he's now only playing blindfold, maybe for the summer. His normal strength is around 2100. So Yabatis' normal strength in rapid is around 2100. This is 1361. Now, he hasn't played that many games yet, so his rating hasn't really stabilized. I'm thinking he's going to go up a little. But I think that it's not easy, and like different players are going to handle, are going to have an easier time handling blindfold chess than others. So this is blindfolded. He's playing white with the, like on lichess blindfold. So he has the board with no pieces on it. He's not playing blindfold with a physical blindfold. He's playing on lichess blindfold mode. I was talking to him about it today. The other things I like for training are other modes, like I'll play where I can only move forward or sideways, and I can't retreat. I call that forward chess. And then reverse chess, which is like where you play with the board backward. I think it's a very useful training tool. Discombobulator is not here, but if you want to improve your prophylaxis and defensive skills, I think that playing with the board turned backwards, so you see the board from your opponent's perspective while you're playing, it's a very useful training tool. If you're like not that good defensively, but you want to play better, pay more attention to what the opponent's doing. A very useful idea. I've never heard anyone else do this. Knight to c6. This is a bad Chigoren, right? Where his bishop's blocked in. So, how bad is it? Well, it's probably not that bad. I'm assuming, you can always play the Catalan, but probably you should play knight to c3. This is blindfold chess. He can't necessarily try to play the best moves, but I'm still gonna commentate the game, as best I can. I think this is in principle the best move. And I'm gonna say that in my experience, Black's best defensive setup is probably g6. Something like maybe knight to g7 first. I think actually Bronstein did this. It also reminds me a little bit of Alyakin's, or it was Rubinstein's Web of Dark Squares game, in the most instructive chess games ever played by Chernev. Maybe g6 right away. How bad is it? It's pretty bad. Okay, maybe knight f6 then. We'll play knight f6 first, and then we'll do g6. Maybe this is the best. If white plays e3, you're transposing directly into a normal opening. If you play g3, it's turning into a Catalan. So bishop g5 is critical. Bishop e7 is a bad queen's gambit. So the jury's out. Then knight g7. Well, I think that's part of Bronstein's point. Bronstein was one of the greatest players ever who ever lived. One of the most creative, and I think The virtue of knight on GD7 is that it's not as bad as it looks. You see this Bernatsky guy, who's quite a strong player. He's apparently reached like 2600. So anyway, why he played bishop f4? Well, nothing wrong with bishop f4. This is actually a good move. It makes a lot of sense. This does totally make a lot of sense. Why not? I can't really criticize bishop f4 on any level. Maybe black's best bet is to play bishop d6 and try to just meet it objectively. I don't think there's anything better. If bishop d6, no, you probably have to play bishop g3. And it's a game, but white is better. So he plays knight f6. Okay, this is obviously reasonable. E3. E3 allows possible knight h5. So you have to be careful about that. I mean, this looks a little slow. So knight c3 looks good. There's only 2 games, one by the German GM. I don't know if he's a GM, probably a GM, House Rat. I don't know if that means House Rat, but I always thought it was funny. Never met him. We played on ICC Blitz games years ago. So knight c3, yeah. Well, it's getting close to this is getting close to Rogozin now, isn't it? I mean, basically, this is a Rogozin after bishop e4, where you've played bishop f4. Okay, but he's played knight c6. I mean, knight c6 is... He's played in the Rogozin against e3, but not necessarily a typical move against, like, bishop f4 or something. This is best. e3. Wow. That's funny. This guy was just on my Facebook friends suggestions. I never met Pierluigi Piscopo. Just recently added to my Facebook friend suggestions. Chaba's already there. He's like a conspiracy theorist. Hungarian Grandmaster. What about Chaba? He looks like a Simpsons character. He has like big bulging eyes. Good guy though, I like him. But he's too conspiracy theories and stuff. Queen c2 is interesting, Yabatis, but I think you should play e3. Okay, you wanted to guard against possible pins. It's like a Nimzo where you played bishop f4. I always think of Joe Piscopo, the actor. What was he in, like Saturday Night Live or something? He was like a comedian. So this player lost to Chaba playing d takes c4. But I mean, I think that d takes c4 it's a pretty normal thing to do in the Rogozin type of structure. It's basically a hybrid of Chigorin and Queen's Gambit accepted. This falls in the category of not developing your pieces, right? But still, it's interesting. It's actually reasonable. But what's black going to do? Play it like a stone wall? It looks like a stone wall. Yeah, now if I'm black here, I'm basically playing a kind of Nimzo. I guess I'm castling like 100% of the time. Or if I was to play another move other than castling, what would it be? Probably A5, you know, just like preemptively gaining space. And if you play A3, I'm going to take and play and prevent you from playing before. Actually, you know, come to think of it, if I play A5, A3, bishop takes C3, B takes C, this B file is not very friendly. I think I'm going to take that back. So we're not going to play A5. We're going to play castles. And then when you play bishop D3, we're going to have to make a decision with black here. And I think white is better, but, you know, I have seen some crazy shit. I mean, there is a possibility of G5, but I've seen this happen. They can go like totally postal with the G5. Josh Friedel did it. He did try to do it against me in a bishop f4 Chigorin. So you get the usual sort of like bishop g3, h5. Oh, we transpose to something. It's a real position. See? Another question though is like, would bishop e5 be a good move? Anyway, more questions than answers. But my biggest question is, what the fuck is that? That's not a good move, master. This guy played perfectly well, I mean, for 1249 until bishop a5. Bishop a5 is like a fantasy. Can we get the midget from Fantasy Island on? De plane. Well, I mean, Friedel did in a position where he played like f6. So it was a different type. Yeah, it was, you know, I don't know, like kind of the plan. You know, you do like f6 and g5. Like it was like young Friedel. I only played Josh like 4 or 5 times when he was pre GM. He was kind of wild. And very tactical oriented. He chilled out later. But I only lost against Josh once. That was the time I played the St. George. And I was like totally holding all the way into the end game, and I lost against him. Yeah, so this is a horrible move. Like, what do you got knight b4? But Yabatis just doesn't play a3. Oh my god. That's such a good move. If you knew your opponent was blind, like, Yabatis is, you know, he's telling me all the time, like, he thinks people assume he's really blind because his name is Blind Bill Blunder. I would actually, okay, he says like a lot of people, like when you have a blind account, you're supposed to like put it in your name or whatever. But my assumption would just be that's just part of his name, you know. I'm not playing Blind Bill Blunder and assuming that you're playing blindfolded. I'm playing you and I'm assuming that that's just your name, you know. Like you're making fun of yourself. Like you make a lot of mistakes, therefore you're Blind Bill or something. I'm not assuming. I think most people aren't assuming you're playing blindfolded here. Because if they are, you know, maybe they're going to try to play tricky moves. Like this could be the kind of move you would play. Ooh, it's Bob. What if someone's actually blind? Then they have a Braille screen. They have a Braille keyboard, Bob. All right, they're entering. Yeah, they're getting the moves by voice chat, and they're entering the moves through their Braille keyboard. So I would assume blind is being used figuratively. Exactly. This is a blind blunder. Or is it? Knight b4, queen a4 check. It's just a question. It's like Bronstein said in the Bronstein said about the Italian game, knight d4. You know, Blackburn would play knight d4 against the Italian game, sacrificing his e5 pawn like a bird defense. Bronstein's comment was like, "Who is this? You know, who is this a blunder for? You know what I mean? Like, who's tricking who here? You know what I mean? This bishop is hanging and this bishop is hanging. It's not clear who's blundering and who's the trappee and who's the trapper after this." Wow, and the guy doesn't play c6. Actually, you have two interesting continuations here. Bishop d7. Dude, after bishop d7, queen takes a5. Knight takes e3 check. What's going on? I have no idea. Oh, Bob suggested b5. Wow, another idea. Wow, b5. No, I don't think b5. Wow, even that is a move. Wow, Bob. Even another crazy variation. b5, and now not queen takes b5 because of c6. So if b5, you have to take the bishop. And now he takes this with check. White moves the king. And now I assume like knight takes f4, taking away the threat against c7. Takes check, king takes, and then black can take on c4. I think that black should give a long, hard thought on this move, because you got b5, c6, bishop d7, even queen d7. How long did he spend on this move? He retreated his knight using like, it's 15 plus 10, so he literally spent 30 seconds. Which is something, but not enough, you know? You can't blame the guy for not finding b5, but what about c6? I mean, you're defending your bishop. The knight's defended. And white's bishop's hanging on d3. It's a perfectly reasonable move. This is like, alright, I just admit I fucked up and I'm making a mistake. I made a mistake, rather, and I'm just gonna, like, retreat. It's kind of caving, you know? So what now? Like, after queen c2, we agree to a draw by repetition? Is that the point? I mean, seriously? Hey, draw. Alright. You're like, nope. Wow. And now there's knight takes c3. But if knight c3, bc3, bishop takes c3 check, king moves. If bishop takes, you can sack the exchange. This is what happened. Wow. I mean, that's not ideal for a blindfold player. You know, what you're doing here. You're courting complications, really, in a position where you're playing blindfold. I think the idea would be to keep it clean, you know, not create complications, unless you really want to tax your brain. Of course, it's not like you're doing like a blindfold simul, but you've entered into a very, you know, sharp position now. I guess d6 now b5 is a move. What does the computer say about b5 now? Strongly recommended. No, if b5 actually, you can play queen a3 and this bishop is trapped. White is winning. I mean, the bishop is gone, and ultimately, I mean, white is winning anyway. Like, that bishop's not getting out. If the bishop doesn't get out, white's up 2 pieces for rook, game over. But to be fair, I think he should probably consider castling here. If he castles, you know, at least your king is in the middle of the board. So let's say takes. Just for argument's sake, takes, rook b8, queen takes c7, rook b2 check. I don't know, king f1. But at least the guy has a chance. Maybe it's not great, but the queens are still on the board, and his king is safe. And maybe you can find a way to mess this up. But this move doesn't seem to help. Check, takes here, and now black can castle. This is a really weird move. I think you should just play queen c5, but maybe you didn't like rook b8 or something. Oh yeah, this is like overtly safe. Queen c1, bishop takes c4, and now which way to take? Jeopardize your pawn structure, or allow some mysterious fork that might appear. This is clearly the better move from a positional standpoint. And you're probably winning. Oh, maybe I missed something. There's a fork on e5. Okay, this is safer, but it's a pity to do this to your pawn structure. Now the guy is like, sign me up for the materialistic club. Even if you weren't blind, dude has to just forget about that pawn. Defending the c7 pawn. This move you should be banned from chess for this move. This is disgusting. It's disgusting. I have nothing else to say. It's disgusting. The materialism in this world is disgusting. You should be banned from chess for playing rook to c8. Is that $1 on the floor? Damn, dude. He has a choice between castling or playing rook c8 and defending his c7 pawn. Now, which one is more important? We're talking about from your opponent's perspective here. I want everyone to learn from both sides, not just to talk about the game from one side or the other. Black has to castle here. There's absolutely no question. His king is safe. He has every chance of saving this game. But after this, besides the fact you have bishop a6, which, by the way, I don't think actually wins the exchange because, or maybe it does. No. Rook a8. Rook a8, exclaim. Yeah, look at this. Bishop e7, rook b8, bishop takes c7, bishop b5, check. White's king is not 100% safe. It's just such an indictment of materialism in modern amateur chess. You know, this is such a bad move. Now, you don't have to play bishop a6, and I think, honestly, you're safer not. But I don't want to see this guy get in c5, and I'd really rather he didn't castle. Oof. And now, okay, it's blindfold chess, but it's white who's blindfolded. Did you guys know that? All right, I thought it was black all the time, especially after bishop c6. Are you sure you're not blindfolded, black? Queen takes c6, check. Now it's easy. Let's see how you finish this off. King f8. Nice. I still think that black must be the one who's blindfolded. Bishop takes g5, f6, check. King f7. It's so close to mate. Oh, you got mate in 1. Oh no, you missed mate in 1. I admit I'm sighted and it took me like 5 seconds to see mate in 1. So it's overkill. At this point, he's got to be like, this guy's trolling me. Oh, it's not mate in one. No, it is mate in one, of course. Because the bishop's there. Alright, you make mistakes. You sacrifice your bishop. Oh my god. Nice. Ooh, you have to play the end game. And now the problem is Yabatis forgets like where his pawns are. It's a totally winning position, and very easy if you're sighted. That's a good move, bishop e3. As long as his rook doesn't enter the position. I appreciate you played this very principally. That's kind of passive. Guarding the 7th rank. How did this game end so quickly? He just got bored. Oh, young a rook. Oh my god. Don't tell him that white was blindfolded, okay? Because it's going to make this guy feel really bad. I only see dead pawns. Hard to believe white was blindfolded and black wasn't at the end there. I mean, that rook drop. Jeez. Alright, I am still not... This is my 2 bits for the stream. I should astrobate this game. This is like a model example of how to play tentatively what I call the black bat defense. So it's still not an official name. But I've had some fun. I'm really having fun playing this. Because it pisses me off. I'm trying to play e4, e5. People play knight f3. I play knight 6. And every single time it's the Italian game. We found a really interesting idea with Spectacular Camel today that I never saw before. I just want to, thanks to his help, I'll share this alternative with you guys. Anybody who wants to play classical defenses, you have to meet the Italian game. If you play the 2 knights defense, there's this knight g5, the knight attack or whatever. But we found this funny move here. Has anybody ever seen this before? Everyone knows like knight d4, the main line with knight a5, b5. But Yabatis and I noticed that this had been played in a couple of games. It's very surprising, Only 2 OTB games. And oddly, both played in Bulgaria by the same player with white in different tournaments. So what's the chances of that happening? Well, one of them, like, the second guy must have, like, seen the guy had faced this before. And so, like, repeated against him. It's a shocking... It's a shocking discovery, like, that this move is actually totally interesting for black. And the same dude, who I've never heard of, by the way. And I told Yabatis, nothing shady ever happened in the Balkans. Because both of these tournaments were played in Bulgaria. I was joking, and well, half joking that, like, maybe Karakhalov is like some sort of Bulgarian millionaire or something who like bought all his games. But we looked at both of these games. Okay, I mean, white didn't play great. You never know. I never heard of this guy in my life. But it's unbelievable. Like, literally no other games except by this random guy I've never heard of in my whole life playing white. But Radulski just died. recently, I think, and he's. I mean, honestly, I think he's not that much older than me. I guess like a Serbian GM, if I'm remembering correctly. I guess he could have been from. He could have been from a different Yugoslav republic, like. Anyway, I'm having a brain aneurysm. Yeah, it's unbelievable this has never been played more. Let's check the lichess database. Oof. $19 million. No, 19 million games have reached this position. Out of 19 million games, you're going to get a few hits. 70,000 with knight b4. Now, I will guarantee you that of these 70,000 games, 69,000 are like just noobs who randomly chose b4 as a square to put their knight on. But there are probably like 1,000 thinking players who did this intentionally, or planned to do this. So that's really... It has a name. It's called the Klaus Gambit. And completely sound. Anyway, I want to show you guys my idea. So, the black bat defense, I like it because the knight on the side of the board reminds me of like a bat. You know, it's like a bat wing. It's out on the side. It's on the wing. It's a bat. It's black. The black bat defense. What I like about this is, obviously, let's see how many games got in the lichess database. Wow. The black bat defense, oh my god, I invented it. It's been played 600,000 times. Unbelievable. So, master games, Bob? 0. On lichess? No. 220,000. No, god damn it. This position. 600,000. Inebriated knight is too esoteric. It's too hard for people to pronounce and spell. No, we need something that can be on a YouTube short that sounds cool. Yubata suggested the vampire defense. Or Dracula defense. I was thinking Dracula defense. Maybe you said Dracula defense, not vampire. I said vampire. He said Dracula defense. It doesn't seem to have any relation to Dracula. You know, that's like an extension of bat, the black bat, vampire bat. Now, we could call it the vampire bat defense. I would accept that. I'm still like brainstorming, but anyway. I just want to show you guys some numbers. Okay, I ran the numbers, and after bishop c4, knight f6, knight g5, d5, pawn takes pawn. What did we say? Like knight d4? The Fritz variation, for example, is plus 0.6 for white. Alright, let's run another line. Bishop c4, knight f6, knight g5, d5, pawn takes pawn, the Klaus Gambit, plus 0.7. Alright, let's run another line. Knight f6, knight g5, d5, pawn takes pawn, knight a5. That's the gold standard. Okay. I'm going to just put it out there. It's not easy to play the Polario defense, but the computer thinks it's best, and it is probably best. But it doesn't mean we know how to play like a computer. Anyway, okay, so the Polario is best. But I'm saying this is as good as a lot of variations. But the more important thing isn't its objective evaluation. Okay, the most important thing is that, like, what do people do when faced with something alien? Are they gonna play some? Are they gonna play something like rational? Are they gonna freak out? Are they gonna play routinely? What are they gonna do? So I've faced everything here so far. I've seen everything. B3, D3, bishop D5, bishop D3, bishop E2. I'm not sure anyone's played bishop F1. Bishop takes F7 is really critical, and that was played in this game. The other move is knight takes C5, and this is also very critical. Black has pretty good comp for the pawn here. But anyway, in this installment, we're going to take a look at bishop takes F7, and this was played in a 3+2 blitz game. I believe it was a 3+2 blitz game against a random noob. In retrospect, you'll see white was a weak player, but bishop takes F7 is sound, and it's actually slightly better for white if white plays perfectly. But white has to play perfectly, and that's the point. Bishop takes, king takes, knight e5 check. Now, the first time I played this opening, I did something funny. I played king e8 the first time. Just to show you guys, look at the database. The best move is king e7. King e8 was played 40,000 times. King e6 is the second best move. King e6 is the second best move, and it's been played, what does that say? 16,000, 20,000? Around 20,000. And the best move, king e7, which is counterintuitive in some sense, has been played less than 10,000. Now, the other move that's been played is king f6. And the problem with king f6 is, doesn't black get mated by force after king f6? It's kind of funny, right? King f6 has been played 1,885 times. So if queen f3 check, it's a cute variation, right? This isn't mate. This is unbelievable. That's unbelievable. Queen f3, king e5, d4 check, or even better, queen f5 check. Yeah, so, even this move isn't so simple. But anyways, I tried king e6 once, and it's not that bad. But the best move is king e7. And the point is now, if anyone here is familiar, Bob, with the transvestite opening, maybe, that would be right up your alley, right up your skirt, as they might say. The upskirt defense. The idea here is that we're going to use e8 for the queen, cover the white squares, and then the king actually takes the queen's place on d8 in a lot of variations. So that's the point of king e7 versus king e8 in this line. It's really, really interesting. I mean, the computer has it at a very close evaluation. Less than a third of a pawn advantage to white, even though he's down a piece. This is a very sharp position. So I think it's a great way, actually, to lose, but it's also a great way to win, and especially if you're well prepared. Just to throw out an example, on my stream, I played Arsenal Fan. He's kind of overconfident. This was months ago. When I played against him, he instantaneously sacked his bishop on f7. Instantaneously, without even knowing anything. Yeah, shout out to Arsenal. He's not been here. I think he might have died. We all die. Rip Willie Mays. I feel like there's some chess player. Oh, a friend of mine who was a chess player passed away recently. Only like only like 60, 62. Very, very sad. The guy who told me I would never become an IM. Other than that, I liked him, but he discouraged me at one point. You know, that's the only thing I'll ever hold against him after his death. No, I won't become a GM, maybe. Alright, so game continuation here. D4, D6. This is very important because I've made this mistake of playing Queen E8, and this is inaccurate. You gotta watch because the queen is coming here, and a lot of times the knight is gonna get hit by a queen. There's also, some people like to play Queen F3, Queen A3, going for that knight as well. So what I do is I play D6 first, and then they're like, yeah, Bishop G5 check. Oh shit, I lost my queen. What is that, Eric Rosen? This is all, little does he know, this is all, see, this is all in the home analysis. As Emery Tate, you know, the great Andrew Tate's dad would often tell me, I analyzed this in the Woodshed. In the Woodshed, that was the workshop where we go back in the Woodshed. And I don't know if it was a real thing or a reference to like the pieces that are made of wood. But Embry would always reference the Woodshed. That was like where he would do his, like, you know, that's where he would do his analysis. This is all in my Woodshed, man. According to Wikipedia, it was a real thing. Sorry? Oh, the Woodshed? That's in Wikipedia. That's insane. Okay. That was a quick Wikipedia check. Knight F6, he literally studied in the Woodshed. Well, yeah, I mean, he told me, like, I wasn't sure. He would reference the Woodshed a lot. So, Knight G4, in a previous game, and again, like, here's this random noob playing me, right? I already have, like, multiple games this exact position, so I'm like an expert. Previous game, I played the second-rate Bishop takes G4. And Fritz explained, Fritz, yeah, I'm still living in the 80s, okay, 90s, whatever. Stockfish told me, not told me, but Stockfish made me aware of the fact that, like, this is inaccurate. I played Queen takes G4 after Queen D7. I've parted with my light squared bishop, which is a concession we'd slightly like to not make. So I improve. So King F7 is the best move. Again, Stockfish. Let's double check. It's not. It's up there. It's there. All right. It's close. Okay, it's close. Bishop G4 isn't bad. It's just that the engine thinks King F7 is best. I mean, I've got this down to a science. You know, this is not just bullshit opening. I'm just making it up, you know. Like, I've got this down to a freaking science. Now, knight takes F6, G takes F6, and then check, right? So now the point is, we go to G8. Now, amazingly, there's still 21 games in lichess opening score, but look at the score. Oof. A lot, you know, it's surprising to me, like, how many 1900s have games in this position. All right, let's see where we leave book. Now my opponent played Bishop E3. Look how close this game is. White is half a pawn down. Bishop h4 is the other move. I guess that's a little more aggressive. This is safer. Now, if I play knight c4, I drop a piece to queen d5 check. And I should mention that my knight is literally hanging. So now we finally got out of lichess theoretical territory on our own. But I'm going to say I think the computer might side with the knight c6 move. There's 5 games with knight c6. 1 game with bishop e7, which is just dropping a piece. So, like b6, b4 probably drops a piece. So basically, I only have a few moves that don't drop a piece. My knight is hanging. I can play c6, c5, or like even b6 probably drops a piece to b4, knight c4, queen d5 check. So really, it's a question of, I suppose, like theoretically, b5 is a move if you want to sack a pawn. It probably drops a rook, though. b5 drops a rook, the queen d5 check. So it's either c6 or c5 or knight c6. That's it. So I played c6, and my thinking here is this. This knight is probably coming to c3, and knight d5 is a really juicy square for white. Really good outpost for his knight. So I figured, like, c6 is good because it protects my knight. It controls the d5 square, so there's no check, and there's no knight coming to frickin' d5. And meanwhile, my knight is happy to come into c4. Now, if he does something stupid like b3, and like my knight can't move, I could always play like b5 and be able to bring my knight back to b7, like in the Polario defense or whatever. So I figured this is good, but the computer might have other thoughts. Oh, snap. Wow, f5. Oh my god. Where's Mr. Slow? Are you still here, Mr. Slow? Mr. Slow would never survive this long in the stream. I want to thank Richard for donating $60 earlier. This is shocking. d5 is the best move, but even more shocking is f5, f5. I am not playing f5, like under no circumstances. Ben Feingold, no, he's with about f6, but I am not playing f5, dude. d5 is the best move. That's very Cochrane Gambit, right? That's a very Cochrane Gambit-esque move. Like after queen takes c5 check, queen takes c5, queen takes c5, pawn takes c5. He still has all his pawns. He has 8 pawns. He's equal, right? Right, Bob? 3 pawns, 1 knight. So d5 was the best move. I didn't know. So, and that's a novelty. The only move that's been played is knight c6 in a bunch of games by 1900s. It's a safe-ish move. So the knight comes back into the fold. It can bounce back. You know, you consolidate. My move was like optimistic because I want to put my knight on c4 and like attack him, and he like walked right into it. He should play knight d2, defending the c4, or even be like I mentioned b3, and now d5 again. Once you unsee it, you can't see it. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. But this is funny. So he plays knight c3 anyway, which is bad now because he doesn't have any knight d5, and he's not doing anything about this. So boom, and now I'm like, okay, I'm better now, but still against a good player, I'm not sure. He castles into it, and like it's tempting to take his bishop, and I could, but you know the potential's there. I know like all you guys who love to play like Blitz and Bullet, I couldn't live with myself if I didn't play for the cheapo. You know, knowing that I'm going to show this game to like Acerbate and so I had to go for it. Like, even if this move isn't objectively best, I was like, all right, we're going to do this. So we play Queen B6. Again, this is a 3+2 blitz game against an anonymous player who's clearly not great, but maybe not that bad. I don't know how good he was. Objectively, I think my opponent was probably like 1800 lichess. I don't know. So after Queen B6, he plays B3. No, I thought about funky moves here. I decided, all right, I'm not going to screw around. We're going to take. You know, there's some risk because this opens up the F file. Takes. But notice how good my bishops are. You know, these bishops like protect everything. So my king is not really in any danger. Unless he gets like a rook here. Now I found d5. Look what I found. And I don't know if this is the best move. Let's take a quick glance at the engine. Probably not. Queen c7 is a real tough consolidation move. I'm not going to play that against a random guy. I mean, that's no fun. So I rolled the dice with d5, and the end was just entertaining, right? Our hero couldn't resist. He takes the pawn, and now, of course, everybody can see, like, bishop a3 is a bad idea. First of all, white has a check here at e8 you've got to be aware of. So, you know, if I wanted to consolidate, I would have played something like queen c7. I wouldn't have played d5. But basically, this bishop a3 check doesn't go anywhere. He could even play king d2. So first I played queen a5, you know, pinning him laterally. He has no checks, right? My bishop's here, controlling g4. There's no checks. I play queen a5, trying to discourage him from king d2. And his knight's attacked. You know, so he defended his knight. And then this mate, check. And I'm mating him on b2. But I was really happy he resigned. Like, because he could have ruined my brilliancy. Like, if he had seen queen e8 check, which he did, but if he had only seen, I told you about this, if he'd only seen like queen e7 check, he could have fucked up my whole like mate brilliancy. Like, he didn't see it. You know, he should have just like played on with queen e8, queen e7 check just to spoil it, you know, so it wouldn't be a miniature. So I guess it counts. It counts as a miniature under 20 moves, as with queen takes c3, white resigned. I don't remember if he resigned or like I think he resigned. Yeah. All right. Next, Acerbate. Acerbate, what's up, man? That was fun though. See how fun this opening is? It's fun. I don't care if it's not objectively sound. I'm sick of those like robotic people playing the Italian game, you know. I even do it reversed. I'll play this now. e4, e5, knight c3, knight c6, knight f3. And these guys play like bishop c5. They're hoping to play some kind of... Oh. Yeah, they're hoping to like play the Eric Rosen Gambit or whatever. Is this the Stafford Gambit? I don't know. But I'll do it here. It's really funny. Like, people have played everything, man. It's crazy. 248,000 games. Here I was thinking I invented this. Alright. But it's fun. Alright. So, this is not Astrobait's game. So we got Astrobait with black. It's e4, c5, and then the dreaded Bodler. Maybe I should start playing against the Bodler. The problem is, like, okay, here we go, knight c6. Now if a3, I don't recommend knight a5. It is a thing against the Rossalimo, though. You know, you guys know this. I mean, this is not like... This is well known. Now, Astrobait, I think you really ought to play e6. Donation goal reached. Exactly. Goal. Germany goal. What about you Germans? How do you feel about beating Hungary 2-0? Rossi, the coach for Hungary, dude, I don't know, man. He's pretty pissed. He says there's a double standard. Did you see that? The Hungarian coach claims that, like, the penalty wasn't called on Germany because they're such a you know, high level team that the referees, like, probably would call a penalty on, like, a weaker team. The key, like, first goal for Germany beat Hungary 2-0. But the key first goal, there was this, like, possible foul that was very borderline, that wasn't called. And it's not just a goal. I mean, it, like, changes the whole, you know, the whole game. So it was reviewed. Well, Willy Orban was there, wasn't he? Discombobulator. But that's funny. That play was actually another Orban, Willy Orban. I guess Orban Vilmos was the player involved in that play, I think. Maybe I'm thinking of a different play. But anyway, so the coach went off, though. He is, like, really sounding kind of bitter, sour grapes. Like, they wouldn't have called this. I don't know, you know. The German player who scored the goal said that, like, he played in the Premier League for 7 years, and they would have laughed if that had been called a foul or something in the Premier League. But I don't know, you know. Maybe the coach has a point. Like, it's possible the referees, you know, are more generous to the best teams. It's hard to say. But anyway, Hungary lost 2-0. They had a couple of chances, but they really, like, haven't played well. It's going to be interesting to see if they can beat Scotland. They are better than Scotland. I mean, it seems like they're better than Scotland, but after losing 2 matches, it's pretty hard, dude. I don't know if they'll survive. Okay, enough football. Astrobait, I think you should play e6. So g6. Oh no. Not again. Not the knight g5 thing again. Do you know they just played not... Of course. Of course they played not good enough. Discombobulator. I mean... Even the players agreed that, like, Germany played better. It wasn't a question, you know? No, it's just that, like, it can change the course of the game. Like, Hungary would never have won this match, but maybe they could have, like, you know, had the penalty been called, it could have been, like, maybe the game is a tie or something like that. So it's just, it's tough. You know, they lost two bad matches. They're just not good enough. Honestly, the Hungarian team in the last Euro was much better. They were really quite good, you know, I think. They played tough as nails against both Germany and England, if I remember. That team was really good, like 3 years ago. All right, so knight g5, Asterbate. He drops a piece. Asterbate has this in his woodshed. This is Asterbate's woodshed. Asterbate, how many games do you have with queen takes g5? Let's see. Just 2? Well, this particular position with the knight on c3, he just has 2. But he's like an old hand in like taking knights on g5. I mean, Asterbate, how many knights have you picked off of g5 on lichess? In the Boulder? Maybe 20, 30? Are we approaching like a half decade or something like that? Let's just say that Asterbate has more knights on g5 than the Hungarians like will achieve like in goals in the European Championship for sure. Although that's not a big deal. You played e6 all 10 games, correct? Yeah, mostly people castle. That's probably... Oops, rook g1 is an alti. I think, let's see, castles he's only got 1. What else can they do? Like c3? None? 0? Queen f3? 2? He's got two queen takes g5s. The best is if they hang like their bishop 2 with like queen takes c1 check. Yeah, I'm seriously analyzing this. Okay, e6. And now, knight c3, double question mark, queen takes g5. And now novelty, at least for Asterbate's practice. His opponent played d4 dubious. Dubious? Yeah, castles would be recommended. That's funny. Like, no one played the sensible castles. Both players had to like attack the queen and hang their g2 pawn. It's pretty mate. Let me guess, knight e2. I think that's probably the best move here. That's the only self-mate in this position. Right? Knight e2, knight f3, smothered mate. I love your opponent's move though, b4. What a spirited try. Calmly developing. Notice the diagonal. And now knight f3 check might win a piece. It does. Sparky took the pawn. Asterbate developing. And now queen d6. Oh my god. Don't look now, but white is threatening mate in 1. CCETS. Against most common moves of black at 1000 level, white loses a knight in this manner against the accelerated dragon type setup. They're always playing for fool's mate. Asterbate was not tricked. He would not be tricked. It's not that easy to defend e7, by the way. And knight g8 is not a good idea because of queen f8 mate. So you might want to start getting on your horse. One option, although it's not very pleasant, is king d8, queen e7 check, king here. And then white has at least a draw with queen d6 check. So that's not so great either. So to be fair, like you're suddenly in like a huge danger, and it would have been easy to freak out here. But you kept your cool and played knight d4 check. Oof. So if king d1, the bishop defends the rook. Late starting mate. Alright. I mean, there is a sensible defense here. We have knight c6. We can always play this. So that's the sensible thing to do. Yeah, okay. We're out of the woods. I mean, once we simply play knight c6, I think white's done. It was a nice try, though. He played king d3. And then, boom! Oh, that's a beautiful mate. That felt good. Okay, good job. It wasn't a joke. Do we have any other games? Guys, before I wrap it up, was there any games I missed? This has been a 3-hour, no, almost 3-hour stream. I'll accept, like, analyzing one last game. I was gonna leave if I had to play poker tonight, but there is no poker tonight, so I don't mind if anybody has a game, one last game. If not, not. It was nice to see this discombobulator join us late. Yeah, we reached the donation goal. 2,000. Now, any donations above and beyond 2,000 will go toward, refreshments, cola, beer, whiskey, vodka, snacks, pizza, upgrading my Polish Airlines ticket, bid. Guys, Mr. Slow, do you recommend a bid of $10 for the first class upgrade? Do I hear $10? Does anybody want me to bid $10? I'm curious. That was Mr. Slow's suggestion. To bid $10 to see what happens. I'm expecting there's like some minimum. You bid 50. I have to like recheck my whole ticket cost. I think it was in the neighborhood of like 400 euros or something. Maybe we shouldn't go above 10% of our original, ticket price. But I think that is a solid, first class upgrade, 50. Not bad. I think I'd take that. It's a short flight, though. It's not like I'm flying like... Okay, I have to fly to... It's annoying because I have to fly to Warsaw. There's no direct flight. I mean, maybe like Wizz Air, but I hate Wizz Air. I hate like Ryanair and Wizz Air. There's always like these drunk, like, British tourists and stuff. Yeah, 30 on the short flight. Well, it's 2 short flights, but yeah. I'm also like really curious. I've never been to Poland. I'm curious. 50 doesn't even pay the champagne in first class. So, yeah, it's a good deal. I'm really kind of excited. I've never been to Poland, so I never ate Polish food or Polish beer, Polish anything. Like, not firsthand. Alright, guys. Last game analysis, nothing? Are we just going to hang out and play some Red Dead Redemption? That's tomorrow night. I might be tempted into a short Red Dead Redemption stream tomorrow night, if anybody's here. But we had very few games tonight. That's the least number of games. You know, hasn't been here. Schumacher. Schumacher hasn't been here, and man, forever, right? Everybody's like out for the summer. What? No, that's the wrong Schumacher. But anyway, all right, guys. You had a bike tour through Poland. You had a bike tour through Poland and had to return one day after one day because they stole our bikes. Jeez. You'll find a worthwhile game for next time. Okay. Alright, guys, I'm out. Have a great night. We're going to be streaming tomorrow morning, Friday, Blitz. Bagels originated in Poland. Interesting. Blitz stream tomorrow morning, or afternoon if you prefer, at 12 noon CEST, Central European Summertime. And then, of course, really important Sunday simul-stream in the evening on Sunday. Thank you guys for your support. As we get closer, it's 9 days to go. I'll save the energy for Sunday. Very well. They stole the middle of the bun. Take care, guys. Big holes. That's like donut holes. They sell donut holes at Dunkin' Donuts in the States. You can't get that here, you know? Alright, guys. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.